Power source selector. Parking brake. Set. Pins and covers. Removed, on board. Doors. Secured. GPU. Connected. Power source selector. GPU. No smoking, fasten seat belt signs. On. MSRP power. On. MSRP on. On. KLN 90B. On. AZS VHF1 radio breaker. On. AZS fuel gauge breaker. On. AZS CO72 transponder breaker. On. AZS 36V emergency breaker. On. AZS defrost radio breaker. On. AZS defrost window breaker. On. AZS 115V emergency breaker. On. AZS AI9 ignition breaker. On. AZS hydro system breaker. On. PT1000 inverter. On. Defrost radio inverter. On. Navigation light. On. Power to ladder. On. Ladder extend switch cap. Opened. Ladder extend switch. On. Ladder. Extended. Transponder. CO72M. Transponder mode. Standby. Power fixator. On. Fix switch. Off. Power fixator. Off. Flight controls. Checked. Engine thrust stop plank. In place. Fuel boost pump left. On. Fuel boost pump right. On. Fuel prop. On. Cent degree 3/4 1/2 N Euro 3/4 no. Cent. Hydraulic pressure gauges. On. Emergency hydro pump caps. Opened. Emergency hydro pump switch. On. Emergency hydro press. Greater than 110. Emergency hydro pump caps. Closed. Throttles. Idle. AI9 fire valve. On. Start on ground cover. Opened. AI9 starter. On. AI9 starter mode. Start. AI9 starter button. Hold for 8 seconds. AI9 EGT. Rising. Starter air pressure. Rising. Starter air pressure. Stabilized. AI9. Ready. Ladder extend switch cap. Closed. Ladder extend switch. Off. Ladder. Retracted. Engine instruments left breaker. On. Engine instruments center breaker. On. Engine instruments right breaker. On. Fire warning 1 breaker. On. Fire warning 2 breaker. On. Fire warning 3 breaker. On. Fire valves left breaker. On. Fire valves center breaker. On. Fire valves right breaker. On. Fire extinguisher system 1 breaker. On. Fire extinguisher system 2 breaker. On. Fire extinguisher system 3 breaker. On. Start warning lamps breaker. On. AI-25 engine ignition left breaker. On. AI-25 engine ignition center breaker. On. AI-25 engine ignition right breaker. On. Fire extinguisher valve 1 breaker. On. Fire extinguisher valve 2 breaker. On. Fire extinguisher valve 3 breaker. On. Beacon light. On. AI-25 fire valve left. On. AI-25 fire valve center. On. AI-25 fire valve right. On. AI-25 fire valve cap left. Closed. AI-25 fire valve cap center. Closed. AI-25 fire valve cap right. Closed. Captain's window. Opened. AI-25 starter. On. AI-25 starter mode. Start. AI-25 starter target. Left. AI-25 starter button. Hold for 5 seconds. Left engine RPM. Increasing. Left engine fuel flow. Increasing. Left engine fuel pressure. Check. Left engine oil pressure. Check. Left engine oil temperature. Check. Left engine EGT. Increasing. Left engine RPM. Stabilized. Generator left. On. Power source selector. Battery. Battery. Charging. GPU. Disconnected. Starter air pressure. Ready. AI-25 starter target. Center. AI-25 starter button. Hold for 5 seconds. Center engine RPM. Increasing. Center engine fuel flow. Increasing. Center engine fuel pressure. Check. Center engine oil pressure. Check. Center engine oil temperature. Check. Center engine EGT. Increasing. Center engine RPM. Stabilized. Generator center. On. PT500 inverter. On. Defrost window inverter. On. AI-9 stop button. Push. AI-9 starter. Off. AI-9 starter mode. Reset. AI-9 fire valve. Off. AI-25 starter target. Right. AI-25 starter button. Hold for 5 seconds. Right engine RPM. Increasing. Right engine fuel flow. Increasing. Right engine fuel pressure. Check. Right engine oil pressure. Check. Right engine oil temperature. Check. Right engine EGT. Increasing. Right engine RPM. Stabilized. Generator run. On. AI-25 starter target. Reset. AI-25 starter. Off. AI-25 starter mode. Off. window. Closed. All remaining breakers. Enabled. AI9 ignition breaker. Off. AOA heat. On. Radio altimeter. On. AGD auxiliary. On. NAV1 receiver. On. NAV1 frequency. Set. NAV1 radial. Set. Route / landing mode selector. Route. NAV2 receiver. On. NAV2 frequency. Set. NAV2 radial. Set. DME. On. DME frequency. Set. DME units. Selected. Stabilizer trim. Set. Flaps switch cap. Opened. Flaps 20 degrees. Set. Main artificial horizon. Aligned. Auxiliary artificial horizon. Aligned. Captain's meters altimeter.
87648 uniform whiskey kilo delta altimeter 3003.
Uniform whiskey kilo delta altimeter 3003 87648.
Set. Captain's feet altimeter. Set. Outside air temperature. Checked. Left Kesson fuel gauge. Checked. Right Kesson fuel gauge. Checked. Both tanks equal for balance. Checked. Copilot's feet altimeter. Set. Copilot's meters altimeter. Set. Copilot's artificial horizon. Aligned. Defrost control mode. Auto. Cabin pressure. Set. In cabin temperature. Auto. In air vent temperature. Auto. In cabin rheostat. 20 degrees. In air vent rheostat. 20 degrees. Gyroscope hemisphere. North. Active gyro. Main. Gyroscope mode. MK. Left ADF mode. Comp. Right ADF mode. Comp. Left ADF frequency. Set. Right ADF frequency. Set. Lights housings. Extended. Left light. Taxi. Right light. Taxi. KLN 90B. Aligned. Parking brake. Released. Taxi. Try a different ramp or bigger airport. 30 km/h. Foot pedal brakes. Tested. Gyroscope/compass reaction during turns. Tested. Turn coordinator reaction during turns. Tested. Pitot heat left. On. Pitot heat right. On. Ice warning. On. Transponder mode. Charlie. WX radar. On. Left light. Landing. Right light. Landing. Autopilot system. Activated. Autopilot pitch. On. Autopilot. Ready. Rudder trim. 0. Ailerons trim. 0. Primary flight instruments ready. Ready. V1 speed. Checked. VR speed. Checked. V2 speed. Checked. Panel warnings. No lights. She heading. Runway. Current time for takeoff. Checked. Timer. Start. Throttles. Idle. Parking brake. Set. Throttle. Full. Parking brake. Released. Positive climb. Call gear up. Landing gear. Retract. Parking brake. Set. Nose gear indicator. Red light. Left gear indicator. Red light. Right gear indicator. Red light. Parking brake. Released. Reaching 270 km/h. Call 270. Reaching 120 m/h. Call 120. Flaps. Retracted. Pitch to maintain speed of 320. Adjusted. Throttles for climb speed. Adjusted. Climb rate 7 m/s. Set. Left light. Off. Right light. Off. Lights housings. Retracted.